Tansei, good afternoon. I'm Nishnawbe. Welcome to APTN National News. Two people have been arrested in the Attawapiskat First Nation in Northern Ontario following a drug raid by the Nishnawbe Aski Police Service's intelligence unit. In the early morning hours of Thursday, October 3rd, with the use of a search warrant, police entered a home in the First Nation where drug trafficking was suspected. Police seized an estimated $52,000, including Oxycontin, Percocet, and methamphetamine. Pills plus more than $11,000 in cash. 34-year-old Ryan Lutit and 27-year-old Patience Cassie Cedar Kustashin, both from Attawapiskat, were arrested without incident. The pair are facing several drug trafficking related charges. They appeared for a bail hearing on October 4th. Kustashin was remanded in custody with a future court appearance. Lutit was released with conditions and a future court appearance as well. Over in Manitoba, funding for a pilot project called the Red Dress Alert was announced last week in Winnipeg. October 4th, of course, has some significance. It has been a long-standing day dedicated to missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls and Two-Spirit Plus. With more on this story, here is T.R. Wheatley.
3, 2, 1.
Families and support workers side by side with the federal and provincial government as they announce $1.3 million for a pilot project called the Red Dress Alert. Nahani Fontaine, Manitoba's Minister of Families and Gender Equity, says it could have some similarities to an Amber Alert that you receive on your phone.
Recognizing that the current systems that we have in place right now across the country don't necessarily always work for our women and our girls and our two-spirited. And so it is a means of addressing some of those gaps.
The concept was first announced this spring, but no dollar amount was given at the time. Fontaine says since then, organizations like Gegan Awe Nemananig and the National Family Survivor Circle have also stepped up and have already been working with families about what they would like to see. Alea McIver has been on the front lines for almost 2 decades. In 2011, her cousin Roberta McIver was murdered.
Families have been the blood, sweat, and tears of the movement.
She has long called for a system like this, even before the National Inquiry's calls to justice in 2019 came out.
Something promising, something that's needed immediately in the province of Manitoba for families directly impacted to this ongoing crisis.
For me, it was my sister being murdered while we were in the care of Child and Family Services.
Nikki Kumaksiu Tiksak's sister, Jessica Michaels, was 17 when she died in 2001. She believes if a system like this existed, it could have helped her sister and other MMIWG2S plus since then.
In 2024, we have women that are in the dumps, and no one wanted to take responsibility for any of that. So having this Red Dress Alert system and actually listening to the families that have been impacted and being able to listen to their stories and turn them into tangible actions.
Manitoba will be the first province to see the rollout. Crown Indigenous Relations Minister Gary Ananda Sangari says there is already a sustainability plan to build it nationwide.
Our commitment is to make sure as the system is ready to be rolled out, there will be additional funding that will be available to sustain and to build that system nationwide.
The Red Dress Alert program is expected to roll out within a year. T.R. Wheatley, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Supporters and families gathered in Whitehorse to honor the National Day of Action for murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls and Two-Spirit people. A few dozen people walked about a kilometre from the Whitehorse RCMP detachment to the MMIWG2S Plus monument in the Rotary Peace Park. Supporters drummed in honor of those missing or murdered. The walk was organized by the Yukon Aboriginal Women's Council to highlight the ongoing issue of violence towards Indigenous women, girls, and gender diverse people. Yukon NDP MLA Annie Blake participated in the walk alongside her daughter.
I came out today to walk in honor of all our missing and murdered women and girls in the Yukon. My thoughts continue to be with the community of Ross River, with my friend Ramona Peter, who's been missing for some time now and hasn't been located. I think that every community across the Yukon has been impacted by this issue. And we have many families across the Yukon who are thinking of their loved ones today.
Courageous survivors now have a symbolic place of healing. An Indigenous spirit garden is helping to shed light on a dark past. Here's CTV's Donna Sound with more.
This spirit garden at Nathan Phillips Square in the heart of Toronto was created to heal the hearts of residential school survivors.
What you see here, we never had.
The tears go deep.
I'm just grateful for my grandchildren. They're able to go to school and learn their culture.
This legacy gathering is to honor them. And so is the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation.
It's for everybody to learn.
This is the City of Toronto's way of answering the call to action.
There is a deficit of Indigenous placemaking in this city.
Andrea Christron made it her mission to get the permanent spirit garden completed and shares how she did it.
Families who were limiting their voice, but teaching us, to use your voice, to stand up for what you believe in.
Last week in Ottawa, an MP stood up in the House of Commons and tabled a private member's bill to add residential school denialism to the Criminal Code of Canada.
If passed, this bill would add to the Criminal Code the offence of willfully promoting hatred against Indigenous peoples by condoning, denying, justifying, or downplaying the harm caused by the residential school system in Canada.
Back in Toronto, organizers are hoping the Spirit Garden will help honor and remember the children of what was once known as Canada's dirty little secret.
I honestly didn't know what happened to the children in the schools and all that stuff. I didn't know that till it hit the news quite some time ago, and really sad to me. It's disgusting, actually.
Shedding light on our dark past with hopes of a brighter future. Donna Sound, CTV News, Toronto.
We now want to tell you about the results for last week's website poll questions. We asked, should Canada introduce legal measures against residential school denialism? 59% of you said yes, with 32% said no, and 9% said you were unsure. Next, we asked, do you think there should be a national inquiry into police-involved deaths of Indigenous peoples? An overwhelming yes, with 77%, with 18% saying no, and 5% said unsure. And lastly, we asked, did you take part in the events for National Day for Truth and Reconciliation? And it was almost split, with 54% saying yes and 46% saying no. Thank you all for responding. Head over to aptnnews.ca for a new set of website poll questions later this week. Governor General Mary Simon recently honored 6 Indigenous individuals at Rideau Hall. We'll tell you who when we come back in about 3 minutes. Stay with us. welcome back. The Gabriel Dumont Institute and the University of Regina renewed their affiliation agreement, committing to advancing educational opportunities for Métis people. Along with this new agreement, a new Indigenous doctorate program was launched. APTN video journalist Rachel May was at the event to hear what people are saying about the new program.
I think we're in a wonderful time of cultural affirmation, of cultural renewal, of cultural opportunities. There are so many opportunities now that didn't exist, like even 10 years ago, for people to be involved culturally.
The document signed between U of R and GDI renew a 40-year-plus partnership to deliver Indigenous education. Starting this year, master's degree holders can apply for a 3-year Indigenous education doctorate program. In addition to already holding a master's degree, applicants must have references from community elders and professional or academic sources. Lisa Bird Wilson is the Institute's Chief Executive Officer.
The deep cultural and land-based aspects of this program are so impactful. I mean, we heard Joanne talking about her experience only since July. Once, they spend 3 years together in this program as a cohort, doing so many land-based activities, really delving into, the epistemology of Métis education, Indigenous education.
The first group of PhD students started their doctoral journey at the Prince Albert GDI campus in July. Joanne Tremblay is a member of this first group, a teacher at Carleton High School in Prince Albert since 2001.
And I think we keep saying we're the first group. We're going to be, I guess, the voice of the next group is what I look at it. But I always like to thank and think of all those prior to us who created that pathway for us. And as far as Métis education and Indigenous education, but being the first group is pretty special.
Students in the program will take 1 class per semester. The first course was Indigenous epistemology, the study of Indigenous knowledge and practices. The program is led by education experts, including the Dean of the College of Education at the U of R and Métis educators who incorporate traditional knowledge into each course. Tremblay says that programs like this are vital in ensuring that Indigenous cultural education is shared.
Well, I think the key to moving forward is understanding the past, but yet moving forward in a positive manner. In a respectful manner.
The current cohort of students will defend their theses in 2027. Rachel May, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
Governor General Mary Simon honored 6 Indigenous individuals at Rideau Hall last Thursday. They are the latest appointees to the Order of Canada. Sav Jonesa brings us more.
Chief Wilton Littlechild was promoted to Companion, the highest category in the Order of Canada. He is, of course, the longtime commissioner of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Willie Adams was made an officer to the order. He is the first Inuk to be named to the Senate. Adams also helped develop the Nunavut land claim settlement. Jeanette Armstrong was also made an officer. She's an accomplished poet, novelist, and environmentalist. Governor General Mary Simon also made Albert Marshall a companion. He is a revered Mi'kmaq elder from the Eskasoni First Nation, and he managed to stand proud for the photo op. Chief Darcy Bear became a member of the Order of Canada. He is lauded for the economic development done in his community, the Whitecap Dakota First Nation in Saskatchewan. And Elder Jan Rose Dragon also became a member. She is renowned throughout the North for sharing traditional knowledge and skills with the next generation.
Congratulations to all the recipients. You make us proud. Thank you, Sav. We're always looking for your feedback or story ideas. Here's how you can continue the conversation. If you have a story you want to share, send us an email to news@aptn.ca. To read and watch our stories, go to aptnnews.ca. You can also find us online on your favorite social media sites, including TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. There is a new program in Alberta helping young, up-and-coming Indigenous artists. Plus, we'll tell you about Tia Wood's new EP album, Pretty Red Bird. Those stories when we come back in less than 3 minutes. Stay with us. Starting on the east, St. John's 10, Charlottetown 15. Cartwright 8, La Grande River 6. Saguenay 12, Val-d'Or 5. Toronto 14, Peterborough 13. Timmins 24, Thunder Bay 11. 3 in God's Lake, Puckatawagan 7. 10 in Gimli, Barons River 10 as well. 10 in Regina, Saskatoon 10. 5 in Buffalo Narrows, Stony Rapids -1. Peace River 17, Fort Chippewa 14. 23 in Medicine Hat, 23 in Red Deer. Kamloops 22, Bella Coola 14. 13 in Fort Nelson, Smithers 14. 9 in Watson Lake, Mayo 9. 9 in Yellowknife, Wrigley 16. 2 in Sax Harbor, Colville Lake 6. Chesterfield 3, Baker Lake 3. And Arctic Bay 2, and Igloolik -2. A new world record has been set in Mianjin, Brisbane for the largest clapstick ensemble. The record-breaking event took place in King George Square. The crowd also attempting to break the record for largest didgeridoo collective, a record set back in 2006 in the UK. With more, here's our friends from NTIV.
A flash mob of didgeridoo and clapstick musicians gathering in Mianjin, eager to make history as the largest collective and claim the world record.
I've come along to support the movement for the old woodwind instrument, Yiraki, to help break the world record and put it back here in Australia.
I'm looking around here, it's a hot day, it's Father's Day, but looks like there's plenty of mob with the didgers out.
There is, yeah. I'm hoping we got enough. We should have it, you know, it should belong here.
I'd just also like to acknowledge all elders.
After a welcome to country from traditional owners, it was down to business. Although the didgeridoo record wasn't broken, for organiser Garijula Garbawangu, the event represented more than just a world record attempt.
I sit on a mine site there. It's right in the smack bang in the middle of a mining lease, and I've been living there for about 3 years, well, over 3 years now. The day is 1,103 days. The fires have been burning non-stop up there. My nephew and family up there at the moment, keeping that fire going.
The Wangana Jungalingu musician has been holding ceremony and camping on the Carmichael coal mine site for the past 3 years.
It's a symbol of reoccupation. It's a symbol of life, because that fire can't breathe by itself. It dances, it needs food, it needs air. It's alive. So as long as it's alive, this government can't take it from us.
The event, an opportunity to highlight the long battle against Adani.
They're draining the water table from there, so it's only a matter of time before it dies. So I'm here doing everything I can, and that's creating an event and getting everyone to come along to support it. So I really appreciate everyone coming along. Thank you.
And the mob, enjoying the opportunity to come together and celebrate culture.
Yeah, that's it, my brother. Yeah, more of that acoustic jamming up together, you know, mixing the keys, the musical keys.
It's nice to have a day like this where we can all get together and enjoy our culture.
100%. Even if we start doing it more often, next year and the year after, it's going to grow.
Dan Rennie, NITV News.
The National Music Centre in Calgary recently hosted a week-long program for Indigenous artists. Organisers say there's a lot about the music industry that doesn't involve songwriting or singing. The program's mentors share tips on finding a lawyer or an accountant, and they even work to help the artists feel comfortable in an interview or a photo shoot. CTV's Kevin Fleming has more.
He's been writing songs for 16 years and performing professionally for the last 10. But Jared Patra still has a lot to learn about the music industry.
You know, being 40 years old, I think that my career is just starting. And it's kind of a scary thought knowing that it's just starting, because there's a lot that needs to go on still and a lot more that I need to be chasing.
On stage, he's known as Jared Lee, and here he's put in front of the camera to practice his interview skills.
There's a lot that goes into a song. There's the songwriting, there's the marketing, there's the recording, mixing, and mastering. All that comes up to 3 minutes and 30 seconds worth of a song that people will either like or they won't like.
Recording artist Desiree Dorian is in her second year mentoring. Here she's talking to a participant about making sure they find their own legal representation.
I think it's really important as a member of the Indigenous music community and someone who's been a member for maybe a bit longer than some others who are coming up, to pay it forward and to invest in the younger generation.
Vocal coaches also offer some guidance. 23-year-old Breton Rose is excited at the opportunity to learn as much as she can.
I'm literally learning so much. I already have pages of notes, and I'm just like a little sponge here this week, just learning as much as I can, because I love the business side and I love learning that. My brain is that way too.
David McLeod says participants come from all across Canada, and he's excited at their potential.
We saw that at the Junos this year. There was 9 categories that had Indigenous talent, 2 of which were Indigenous categories, but the rest, it's just showcases. We saw Jeremy Dutcher just win, the Polaris Music Prize. And these are all examples of the rising amount of talent that's coming out of our communities.
Organizers say there are more opportunities for Indigenous artists today, and this program will help the next generation. Kevin Fleming, CTV News, Calgary.
From amassing over 2 million followers on TikTok to becoming one of the first Indigenous women to sign with Sony Music, Tia Wood is already a force to be reckoned with. Just recently, the Plains Cree and Coast Salish singer-songwriter released her debut EP, Pretty Red Bird. APTN Sierra Bettens chatted with Wood about songwriting, TikTok stardom, and her musical roots.
At 21 years old, musician Tia Wood left her home in the Satellite Cree Nation in Alberta to chase her dreams in Los Angeles.
It was 2 days before I was supposed to head back to the reserve, and I was just like, man, I feel like I have something to see through here. There's something telling me I should just stay and just see what happens. So I had just enough money for first month's rent on this room that I found on Facebook Marketplace. It was scary, it was also very exciting, but it was scary because I was leaving everything that I grew up knowing behind.
4 years later, the singer-songwriter has released her debut EP, Pretty Red Bird, with Sony Music. From the opening track, Dirt Roads, to the catchy closer, Sky High, the 5-track record is deeply personal.
Pretty Red Bird is actually my middle name, and this is my first release into the world, so it kind of just made sense to call it that.
Music runs in Wood's blood. She spent her childhood performing on stages along the Powwow Trail with her family.
I was fortunate enough to grow up around a lot of musicians. My dad was one of the founders of a Grammy-nominated drum, Northern Cree. My mom was in an all-girls drum group called Fraser Valley.
Sound familiar? Back in 2020, Wood posted a video of her adding Indigenous vocals to a viral TikTok sound. Today, it has over 21 million views.
I think that was like a moment for me where I was like, wait, maybe there is like a place for this kind of sound, where I can mix the two.
Now, with 2.2 million TikTok followers behind her, Wood uses the platform to educate others and share her music.
I wanted to shed light on things that I think don't get talked about enough, which is issues inside of the Indigenous community. MMIW, residential school survivors, and all that kind of stuff.
Reflecting on the milestones she's achieved, Wood shares the message she'd tell her younger self.
I didn't really grow up knowing a lot of mainstream Indigenous singing artists, so I would just say to not doubt yourself and that there is spaces for her story to be told.
In the coming months, Wood will be featured in an episode of the APTN show Amplify, where she'll perform an original song about her home community, Saddle Lake. Sierra Bettens, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Right on, Tia. We love to see it. And that's your midday newscast for this Monday, October 7th. We'll be back in a few hours for your evening newscast with more brand new stories. From everyone at APTN National News, hi, miigwech, masicho. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again next day.